incredible show of Bitcoin Live. I'm very proud and honored to have so many DigiByte people on the show in one show. I love DigiByte. It's an amazing project. It's a really old project. It's from 2014, but old doesn't mean outdated. It actually means cutting edge. And I got Mike and ScryptSkynet here with me on the show. Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Could you both introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. My name is Mike Aldi. I've been involved with DigiByte for a few years, first as a holder, and then that was back in 2017. And in 2018, I decided to become more involved with the project, focus more on marketing, outreach, doing some videos for YouTube, and then doing presentations at meetups, and lately working a lot with DigiAssets. I know we're going to talk more about that later. Like all of us who work for DigiByte, we do it on a volunteer basis because it's a completely open source protocol. There's no ICO, no company, no president, no CEO. So we all have day jobs, and my day job, I work as a video editor for Fox Entertainment. So I'm really excited about where the direction that the industry is going, especially in relates to NFTs and what can be done with content and video production. Of course, there's so much that can be done. So it's really exciting. And in fact, people may be aware that Fox Entertainment recently just launched a whole new company called Blockchain Creative Labs, and have dedicated like $100 million fund to expand upon that. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So it's great to be here. It's great to talk about DigiByte, and I'll hand it over to Script.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. In fact, Mike is one of the influencers that caught my attention with how to use DigiID and what the use cases for DigiID, what it absolutely solves in real world use cases online. And so that's what kind of, people like Mike and Josiah and Jared really just got me going into the right direction, and just wanted to be some kind of a supporter for the initiative of the DigiByte phenomenon. So slowly but surely, I made friendships and, started a channel, started off reading, day-to-day stuff about DigiByte and what could be happening behind the scenes and what is about to happen and stuff like that. And I kind of put my own little flavor on things, non-copyrighted music from a really good artist I follow. And he's very gracious enough for me to use his music. And it's kind of like a cypherpunk music sound. But I like to communicate and collab with other artists in the DigiByte community, and make intros, and I'm a people person, so I like to talk to people and communicate with them, and with the vast DigiByte community and crypto community on Twitter. And so yeah, it used to be called ScryptSkynet, but now it's called Digiverse because the people voted on Digiverse. So it's called Digiverse, but I am still the host of Digiverse, ScryptSkynet.
It sounds a little bit more friendly, even though I like Skynet a lot. But DigiByte has an incredible community. I mean, one of the amazing things about DigiByte is how active, how engaged, and how positive your community is. So how did you create such a big and engaged community?
With me or Mike?
Yeah, whoever wants to take the question.
Yeah, go ahead, Script. You can start off.
Okay, well, I just kind of try to find a place where I fit in. I came from the Litecoin community. I wasn't really established in the Litecoin community. I had a few people I followed, but I just had that companionship, and I was able to build friendlier relationships that really took their time and out of their way to talk to me. And because let's just face it, when people get too big for their britches, they don't have time to talk. So I'm not pointing anybody out. I'm just knowing my experience through my walk of life. You know, it's really it's a blessing to have those people that are willing to train you up or teach you what they know and just bring you along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's how I kind of just fell in there and just contribute as much as I could with my volunteerism.
Yeah. And Mike?
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. Where you just look at the community at large. I think it's filled with a lot of people who they truly believe in the technology as far as building a better system, a better society, to really just to genuinely improve the lives of everyday people. It's not just hey, let's win Moon, win Lambo. It's deeper than that. And I think a lot of people in the community they realize that because it's been around for such a long time, and it has such there's a legitimacy to a genuineness because the things I mentioned before about no ICO and there's no central authority. It's completely permissionless. Like myself or ScryptSkynet, anyone can just start doing things, and it's a great platform to build upon, to learn from, because as you said, you can reach out to people in the community and they're willing to help you, to answer your questions, to kind of guide you along the way, and it's great to have that kind of support and that kind of ability to learn and grow within the industry, because there's so much to know, and it's evolving very rapidly, and our world is changing so rapidly these days that it's important to keep up with all those changes. And a community like DigiByte is great for that, especially for newcomers who come in. And I remember when I first got into crypto, it was just like, well, where do you even start and who do you listen to? And a project like DigiByte is great to start off with because of the support you get from the community.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love it, and I also really like your founder, creator, Jared Tate. I think he is a really outspoken view. But I think one of the things that stuck with me when I heard him talk in many of his talks was his focus on cybersecurity. That DigiByte was a reaction on a target identity theft, I think of 100 million people or something, that was hammered into the Genesis block of DigiByte. And I think DigiByte is one of the most secure protocols out there, with 5 algorithms and real-time difficulty adjustment. And I think when I heard that, I was instantly sold. Could one of you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, when it comes to cybersecurity, that was one of the things that really pulled me in. Again, when I first got into crypto, it was about, hey, I just want to, ride this wave of money. But then as you do more research and you realize what it can be really used for, because I've been the victim of data breaches, and it's scary just knowing that all your information's out there, and who can use it. So to have a piece of accessible technology, just at your fingertips, that can give you that peace of mind, give you that strength of being able to protect your data. And I see in the chat, John from AntimID is here, who, someone that was just really leading the charge with, the project with AntimID and my DigiPassword. And it's great to see, companies using the technology to build upon it and provide those tools for people who can use it and help protect their data. It's an excellent use case. I talk about NFTs and content, and yeah, it's flashy and it's fun to watch, but this is another use case which is like extremely necessary in today's world with all the data that's just floating out there, and people can steal your identity, and you go out to get a loan for something and you find out your credit score's tanked because someone went out and got a loan in your name and then they never bothered to make a payment on it. So it's great that this technology is there and that people are out there building it and using it.
Yeah. Do you want to add something to that, or?
Sure. I live in the United States, and as when you look at regulatory law from personal identification, or protection for the most part, the old, about 40, 60 years ago, you had the old style keeping everybody's information at schools when you're young in paper and in shells. And then the cloud got invented and it changed everything. But how it changed was you were no longer able to have your actual paper document to go with you after you graduate high school to protect your own data. It went from, you know, there's a paper form, now there's no more paper form. You have to submit your personal information when you're, you know, your parents do when you're a kid. And then there's a huge gap from when you, from grade school, technically, grade school, all the way to once you start getting in trouble or start your own business, right? So there's a cloud server out there collecting data about you and everything you do online. And I think, you know, to have a little bit of control of your own personal information, I think is key. I think like the GDPR compliancy for their citizens is completely different than the Supreme Court in the United States. So I mean, for the US citizens, I think we should have had this thing nipped in the bud a long time ago. But as we know, there's just backdoors to everything, and it just needs to stop.
Yeah, and DigiByte is, of course, I think, super focused, laser focused on these things, which I really like. And we'll dive into NFTs, we'll dive into DigiAssets, we'll dive into digital identity, because it's all on DigiByte, and you're building amazing stuff. So we'll go into that. But before we go into that, could you perhaps highlight which kind of industries is DigiByte already involved in, and how much is it used? Mike?
Oh, well, you know, we mentioned the cybersecurity side of the industry is being used. NFTs and you know, the DigiAssets, I know that's a use case that's continuing to grow. I know that more and more assets are getting created daily. You know, the platform that I use to create my assets, you know, it kind of has like a little counter. You can't see what other people are making, of course, but like your asset has a number, and every time someone comes in and creates a new asset, they get, you know, next higher number, of course. So every time I go in and create an asset, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, like someone created 100 assets since the last time I was here and made my previous asset. So, you know, industries are definitely using it and building on it. You know, of course, it's all open source. So there's no like, you know, tabulation of, you know, just because someone's using it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to advertise it. You know, they're not on Twitter saying, hey, I'm building on this, because in a lot of cases that's, you know, you're giving away, you know, corporate secrets. You know, you don't want your competition to know like, hey, you discovered this amazing technology that's going to make them stand out heads and shoulders above everyone else. So you're not going to just say, oh, well, this is what we're using. So, and it's open source, so you can use it too. And now we're on the same level. So I think there's a lot of that going on, you know, behind closed doors where people are using it, but they're not, you know, they're not tweeting about it. They're not, you know, doing YouTube videos about it necessarily. You know, one case in point is a new company, well, not necessarily new, but they merged recently, called Humble. People may be familiar with, and they've created an app, and they're doing you know, payments and NFTs. And I know DigiByte is involved on some level, as far as, because the CEO of that company was the original founder of Block 30 Labs, and he attended the first annual DigiByte International Summit a couple of years ago and gave a presentation there. So I know he's a big fan of DigiByte. I know the NFTs that they did like a soft release. I believe they were built on Ethereum. But I suspect that in time, you know, they will offer NFTs on DigiByte as well. So there's just a couple of cases that I know of. And then, of course, you know, vendors and, you know, all over the world are accepted as payments.
Yeah, and I think you're also into shipping, and I think there's some very big industries that are already sort of using the DigiByte protocol. And I was also wondering, because in Holland we have like a digital ID. I was wondering how DigiByte is active in Europe. Are they working with the DigiID in Europe? Is that connected to DigiByte, or is that like totally separate thing?
Yes, in fact, you have, you know, the DigiByte Foundation that are like headway over there in the Dutch and Europe. And you also have, he introduced himself earlier. You have John here from AntomID, and he has a partnership with Microsoft with Open AntomID Connect with the Microsoft Azure platform. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that gives an option for the people that want to, how they want to delegate their identity, protect their identity. And basically, free-thinking people wanting to use Microsoft Azure, and AntomID, DigiID is right there, and it's passwordless protection. And also, I think the DigiByte Foundation are, you know, I think they're making waves over there in the EU. But you also have, like, talking about DigiByte technology. But I do agree with Mike that, you know, not all of them come out and say, we're using this because it is a competitive market. Yeah. And people do want to stay decentralized until they feel free to announce it themselves. But you have Change Angel, which uses DigiID on their platform. So you can seriously use the DigiID and be safe using using the DigiByte wallets and log in, and then start using the social swap for good.
Yeah, because a lot of people are unfamiliar with crypto, and they still exist. They don't realize that your data is basically encrypted. So the blockchain, the public ledger, the decentralized system allows you to stay the owner of your own data. So it's no longer centralized, the data.
Also, John Song here in your comments, our friend, yeah, he's right. So the ETX bot trading, Humble using available for the DigiByte on Bittrex and whatnot for that. And also BID is using DigiByte technology. Also, BID cross chains with their virtual machine with Binance Smart Chain. And then you can go as far as, you know, REN protocol, REN DGB, and being used over there, Matic, 1-inch pool, things like that.
That's awesome. So let's dive into some of the recent developments, because you got the V3 DigiAssets, and I think that question is for you, Mike, right? How are things in that? How are things developing, basically?
Yeah, so V3 of DigiAssets is currently in progress, and I believe it's going to get released very soon. You know, DigiByte, the development team, they tend not to announce dates. You know, that they want to overpromise, underdeliver.
Yeah.
Underpromise, overdeliver. I got that backwards. Anyway, so with V3 DigiAssets, one of the things that I'm really excited about that V3 can do is that it allows an asset to be sent to an asset ID. So let's say if I have my wallet and have an asset within that wallet, you can send additional assets to whatever wallet is holding the original asset without needing the address to send it to. And I think that's a huge development because it allows companies or entities, whoever issues that asset, to continue sending additional assets to that wallet. So if you're running a business and you want to send promotions, coupons, you know, loyalty points, that's something that can now be done very easily just by sending it to that asset ID instead of having to track down each individual wallet address. So that's one big development that's in place. And I know that they're also working on a greater decentralized storage of the metadata that gets stored. I think before the original setup, it was, you know, there's choke points and there's, you know, points of failure that, you know, you don't want in this sort of environment. You want everything to always be on whenever the user needs to use it, because that's what everything comes down to, is the user experience. If people use it and they're not happy, then they're not going to use it anymore, or they're not going to recommend it. You know, they're just going to leave with a bad taste in their mouth. So it's going to turn them off. So you need to have everything working whenever people want to use it.
Yeah.
And so those are a couple of developments I know that they're working on. I know Scripts, you might have a couple other points that you can add to that list. for V3 DigiAssets?
Yeah. So Mike is talking about the Ipfs, which we never had before for the digital asset layer. It's so you can store your content that you create decentralized instead of on one central network or server, and so that's cool. I mean, it also, it's peer-to-peer, so it uses those seed phrases to bring forth that asset in that Ipfs network, and you don't have to go search for one place, you know, or if that one place was destroyed or there's no longer service there, then we got major problems in that protocol right there. But we have also, first of all, I want to mention V3 is additional like rules and building on what V1, V2 DigiAssets is. So it's getting better and better, right? So V3 is just version 3. And this initiative is by DigiassetX. Now this is like a business, okay? It's not literally, this is the DigiByte community, although they are doing it, but it is an exchange. And so the initiative is by Matthew Cornelius and the team at Change Angel. And so V3 will have Ipfs distribution to keep it decentralized, so it'll be on chain. But there's also rules in there. It says with every DigiByte transaction, there will be instructions attached to it for the consumer, for the the app or DApp layer, protocol communications layer, can receive those instructions to go on from there. Okay, so they know how. In this case, DigiAssets. And so there's like 6 rules, new rules added for creating your asset. Number 1 is weighted signatures. Now, I'm just briefly going to go over this. It's weighted signatures from 1 to 4 signatures before the asset can be transferred. So it's a little bit like kind of a timing thing. You got royalties, a rule where specific royalty must be paid to a specific address for like your songs or your art or 3D imaging, right? Mm-hmm. You also have KYC. This rule allows assets with KYC verified addresses to be sent to. Also can be blacklisted based on your country, state, citizenship, right? You also have a rule where these are all options, by the way. Yeah. You have an expiry rule where if you set a date so an asset can no longer be moved, once the asset expired, then it gets flagged as expired. So pretty cool stuff. Rule 5, it's a vote assets. This asset rule restricts addresses you can send it to, which also brings up an extra metadata if sent to those restricted addresses. And then rule 6, deflationary. This is a rule, a set specific amount of assets that must be burned in every transaction. And then real quick, we got with DigiassetX, they have tools already in service. If you go to every name I mentioned and put .digiassetx.com, it'll pull up this tool for your service. It has DigiSweep, so you can use and get your DigiBytes locked from another wallet if it's kind of hung up, and you can sweep it over to a compliancy wallet like Coinomi or whatever. Yep. And then you have Hot Sweep for that same purpose, and dgbsupport.digibyte or digiassetx.com. But the only thing that we're waiting for now is third-party wallet integration for V3 DigiAssets, so we can have multiple support, and then it's full steam ahead. And after that, or if that doesn't happen, we're also working on a brand new wallet altogether. Now, DigiassetX will also have a full asset NFT creator as well, and DGB pairs to other cryptocurrencies.
Nice. Wow. Oh, you're not sitting still over there. That's really amazing. That gives it also a lot of flexibility. But one of the things I always notice with DigiByte is it seems that the news doesn't come out a lot because you're really developing a lot of amazing stuff. But you often miss, it doesn't get enough attention outside of the DigiByte community.
And that's partially, you know, we as a community, we do get the news out. Some news is delegated to others for like trust, and then we'll be able to, once they say the okay, then we can spread the word. But maybe with what Mike has already done with V2 with his DigiAssets, you know, that goes along with the marketing aspect of things. And so he's already doing everything he can do, you know. So I'm actually excited what Mike can show us here.
Yeah, because Mike, you want to give a demonstration, right?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to go and just let everyone see what the wallet looks like, what it can do, and talk about a specific use case. You know, at least how it relates to me within the video industry. And before we jump to that, let me go ahead and here you can see I got this pie chart up. We talked about decentralization earlier. This is what Bitcoin mining looks like.
Yes.
Which I mean that's pretty decentralized, obviously, but this is what DigiByte looks like, and you can see how the pie chart has a lot more colors. So there's a lot more people participating with mining and contributing to the network. And I expect this to even grow more because one of the other developments that are coming up soon, and I know again Josiah can speak to greater detail on this, but it's the Prog PAL mining ability. So this is going to return CPU mining to everyday people, which is really exciting. I think it's going to open up a lot of doors for your kind of basically people like me who look at your ASIC miners and whatever. You're like, yeah, that's a little too much for me. I'm just going to stick to I'll go on the exchange and buy it. But I'm really excited with those developments that are going to be coming out soon. That's going to just really open the door to a lot of more people coming in and participate, adding hash to the network and strengthening the network and earning a little DGB along the way as well.
Yeah, so, because last time I checked, I think DigiByte had the highest hash rate of all the cryptos out there, right?
Well, I don't. Maybe specific algorithms. I think Bitcoin is still the king on that. I mean, but what makes DigiByte so unique in a lot of ways is it has the multi-algo mining. Yeah. With 5 different mining algorithms, because if you could take all the hash power that is currently running on Bitcoin and even Litecoin and throw them at DigiByte, and they still couldn't get a majority of hash on that on the blockchain, because the other 3 remaining algorithms, Bitcoin of course is SHA-256 and Litecoin is 100% Scrypt. So and those are 2 of the algorithms on DigiByte right now, but they're only 1/5 of the total mining on that protocol. So it adds a lot of security by that virtue alone, and it's also what allows the crazy transaction times, because every 15 seconds is what's a new block, and it's over 13 million blocks right now and growing.
Yeah, one of the secrets of this show is DigiByte is one of our favorites to give away because the transaction speed is so fast.
Yeah, there's no waiting. Yeah.
Actually, I want to hodl them, but they're too good to give away. So I'm always replenishing my stash. But
yeah, there's always that. So I just want to go ahead and point that out really quick to you and your audience. About the mining, and again, I know Josiah can speak to more specifics about that when you guys talk to him. But let's go ahead and jump over to the wallet. And what you see here, this is the iOS version on my iPad. And let me say, I'm an Android guy. I've always been an Android guy. And DigiAsset support for the Android wallet came out first, and I was happy about that because, like I said, I had Android. But when someone from the development team shared the screenshot of the iOS in development, it blew me away. It was so beautiful. I was like, I have to experience this myself. So I went and got my first Apple product in 20 years. And I love it. It's been great. So let me go and pull this up. So this is just what the main page looks like on the wallet, and you click the 3-icon menu, and there's you go to your DigiAssets. And I'm going to pull up one I made for his name's Jeremy, who was a contestant on the game show called Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if you guys have it in the Netherlands. I know it's syndicated all over the world. It's it's been on the air for like 40 years. And
yeah, in Holland, it was used to be named Rad van Fortuin.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's funny, yeah, because it's all over the world now because it's such a huge show. But what's significant is that during the introductions, Pat Sajak, the host, he asked each contestant a little bit about themselves. So let me go and just play that video down. Again, I'll just press on the thumbnail here.
Hello, Jeremy.
Hi, Pat.
Jeremy Kerbel is from right here in Los Angeles. So you work in decentralized finance sector?
Yes. So everything to do with blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Oh, okay. I got you now.
Yes.
Recently graduated from business school?
Yeah, I graduated from UCLA Anderson. Go Bruins. So.
Yeah, what were you doing in Hong Kong and Singapore?
So I was working there for over a decade. I was working for a multinational company and then started my own company. And now I've been back in California for the last couple of years.
Originally from Boston. Good to have you out here. And
yeah, big Patriots fan.
There you go.
So one thing I wanted to point out about that video in particular was down in the bottom right, you see that little logo pop up with first it says Wheel of Fortune and then transitions into the BMW logo.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't air during the show, right? So what we have is an opportunity to repurpose existing media, the show, and insert some co-branding with BMW. So the ad sales team can go to BMW, say, hey, you're already paying us 50 grand for a 30-second commercial, pay us a little more money, and now you can be the exclusive sponsor in perpetuity of this NFT.
Nice.
And when you step into the NFT, this is another great feature for DigiAssets. I don't see this a lot with other NFTs, but it allows you to insert customizable data in terms of text and external links. For example, we've got some tweets here from people who saw the show and said, "Oh, hey, this is a pretty big moment. This guy just talked about Bitcoin and decentralized finance on the biggest game show in the country." So we've got links to tweets, some news articles, and of course I have Jeremy's his link to his website and his Twitter account, and so it creates a really immersive experience for the user.
They're very dynamic.
Yeah, and so and as you can see, and then of course we've got BMW's website here too, and there's different things that can be done to create some buzz, some engagement, because that's what it comes down to with the media and then these brands. It's about engagement and people interacting with your products, watching your shows, and then going to their sponsors and buying their products, buying their services. And with NFTs, it can really elevate that level of promotion and interaction that really isn't achievable by any other means. So this is one of the things that really excites me, especially with my background working in TV, is the ability to create a thing that can really reach out to people in a way that you can't be done in any other way.
Yeah, and it seems really user friendly also. It's very well done.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a beautiful app. The video controls are very responsive, and it does have the ability you can rotate it and watch it full screen on landscape, which is another great feature. The only thing that is kind of a drawback at this point, we talked about using things like IPFS, especially when it comes to your artwork and your videos. Like this particular video, it's just, again, it's a proof of concept just to show what can be done. I uploaded that video clip to Imgur, which is great because it's easy to use and it's free, but there are limitations. And one is that your video can only be a minute long, but mainly because of course it's a centralized server. If Imgur ever goes poof one night, then what happens to all your media? I think it's different for GIFs and JPEGs. I think those actually, because you go to the Block Explorer, you actually see that image, you see that GIF animate. But as far as video clip, it links to somewhere else. So IPFS can help alleviate that. But then when you step in this section of the NFT, you're kind of up to the mercy of the internet, because you can, for example, because I just noticed this the other night when I go, there's a YouTube clip of the show. It says the video is no longer available because the YouTube account associated with this video has been terminated. They got zapped, probably because, you know, of course they don't have the right to put the show up on YouTube, and Wheel of Fortune finds out about it, and they're like, no. You know, so, and that obviously it diminishes the value of the NFT to a degree. So, you know, that's, you know, I'm hopeful that at some point we as a community, as an industry, can figure out a way to make these links
strong,
have staying power. Obviously, if someone gets zapped from Twitter and their account's gone, then, well, I don't know. I mean, that's how it is. But, you know, for like, you know, some of these websites with newspaper articles, you know, maybe we can work out some sort of deal with them where they put their media onto a server, maybe Ipfs or some other means, and create a more exclusive link, one that will not change or can be, you know, create in a way that where it will stay up there forever in case, you know, you change servers, you change hosting companies, whatever can affect that link breaking down the road. I mean, because that's the real challenge here, is just, especially when it comes to collectibles, you know, it's got to last forever.
Yes, especially if you pay 69 million for it.
So and you know, that's going to be interesting to see how the whole industry plays out, because you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Naomi Brockwell. She's a, you know, YouTuber who had a great conversation with the developer talking about NFTs and where does your media actually live. And in most cases, a lot of these platforms, you know, it's just simply linking to the media, and if that company goes bankrupt today, what happens to the media? You've got, you know, $69 million metadata, you know, and you know, or someone can go in and remove that image and put it something else. So there's just, you know, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I think, you know, a lot of people just aren't simply aware of, that the technology, it looks great now, but how's it going to look 5-10 years from now? Again, for collectibles, you need it to have staying power. You need it to last forever. So that's going to be the challenge going forward, for not just for DigiAssets, but for all NFTs in general.
Yeah, Lynn Olden called it like the dripping paint problem. Like you buy a painting and then the canvas goes blank because of the paint dripping off it. It's like if you have an NFT, but you lose the link or the host or the company behind it, or they could even basically blackmail, say like, oh, we're going bust, we need money, otherwise you lose all your help us.
Yeah, they hold the NFT ransom. You know, if for that guy that paid 69 million for people's artwork, you're going to say, well, pay us some money, otherwise we'll let this server die, and then there goes your investment, there goes your artwork. So
the NFT space still has some big issues with it, and it's of course also, you know, the trouble between centralization and decentralization, because they both have their benefits and their drawbacks, of course. Are you guys for complete decentralization, or do you also see like a use case for centralized entities?
Well, before we get to that, can I mention what I like what Mike's doing here? And we've talked about it over the years, where once your asset is created, it's basically the input is infinite. So like, I'm more of the type of, you know, getting excited with V3, because now the Ipfs implementation, now it's decentralized. You're going to be able to get, you know, writers and illustrators, you know, writing books on DigiAssets. You're going to be able to, you know, I mean, create business models for this. It's basically, the ideas are infinite. I mean, I mean, they're endless, right?
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes I have to be careful not to say too much, but you get my point. You get my point, right?
Yeah. So, but basically, you already answered the question. So you're for full decentralization, I bet.
Okay. Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm for decentralization. Yeah, this is the reason why I'm here, right? I mean, I'm much like any community member with blockchain technology, you know, attracted to that more than cryptocurrency. You know, I mean, like, I could be a cryptocurrency guy, you know, but I'm more attracted to what blockchain offers. And basically the legacy system, I've heard it put like this: it's like a slow dying dinosaur about to, you know, pop the red blood vessel out of his brain, and he's over. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's, I don't know. Is that radical? I don't know.
Well, I hope you're right, but yeah, they have to find something to replace it with. I mean, that's basically the only issue is, can we replace it fast enough, and can we replace everything fast enough?
Well, I think the old legacy systems need to convert to blockchain and not the other way around. I don't think it should be, okay, blockchain needs all these regulations to, you know, adhere to their demands. You know, I mean, I think they need to become free as a people, just like everybody else has to.
So do you both also subscribe to what Andreas Antonopoulos said? It's like blockchain, and especially the crypto blockchain projects out there, they're like a Trojan horse, and as soon as those centralized entities try to co-opt them, they're being eaten from the inside out, basically.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I think they look at it and they feel like, oh, well, we'll co-opt this and make it part of what we do, but in the end, it'll undo everything that they have done and want to try to do. So yeah, I mean, and back to your previous question, yeah, I'm a huge believer in decentralization. I think this is what will lead us to true freedom, because otherwise the technology will be used against us. You know, there's been a lot of talk lately, especially here in the United States, about you know, the USDC, you know, Fed coin as they call it, which this would be basically dollars on a blockchain, which is terrible because they have complete control over all of your money, how you spend it. If you're guilty of wrong thing, they can just turn you off, and now you can't spend your money. You know, and I've heard that the digital yuan, which has been rolled out in China, that they put an expiration date on dollar, like your money's going to expire if you don't spend it, and that's just such. It just seems so weird. I mean, of course, you know, here in the United States, inflation is really ramping up, so you're kind of like, well, I need to spend it, otherwise, if I wait and sit on it, it's going to lose value over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, decentralized assets, I think, is that's the way to go, and that's to say that there's no need or use case for any centralized programs out there either. I think, you know, but we definitely need to decentralize. Otherwise, you know, there won't be true freedom from those that, you know, have controlled humanity for the longest time and want to continue controlling us. I know that they're probably, you know, they got to be freaking out with, you know, all this technology that's being let loose and not being able to control it. You know, they can manipulate it. They can, you know, release FUD and whatever and say, oh, well, it's going to destroy the environment, and, you know, and it's silly, really, but that's how desperate they are, and rightfully so. And I'm glad they feel that way, because of, you know, the terrible situation that they put humanity in.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, I look at cryptocurrencies and blockchain as, you know, the hope going forward. You know, I was kind of a doom and gloomer back in the day, just stacking my gold and silver and ammo, just waiting for the whole world to go Mad Max. And hopefully we, you know, won't get to that point. You know, I'm hopeful that with the rise of digital assets and cryptocurrencies, that it'll kind of create a softer landing for us, that we can transition to that new world without it being as painful as it might be otherwise. So it's great that we have this ability now. You know, the important thing is to go out and inform people and educate them, let them know the difference between, you know, truly decentralized projects like DigiByte and Bitcoin, and you know, there's a lot of great projects out there that are open source protocols.
Well, you raised a lot of interesting points. I mean, a lot of people are into crypto basically just to make money, to earn a buck, and they have the slightest idea about what they're actually buying, let alone an ethos that goes along with it. But on this channel, we often talk like it's a fight between centralization and decentralization. because a lot of these technologies that are coming online, a lot of them are basically making it possible to have like an amazing renaissance that could happen for everybody, because they're basically decentralizing forces out there. But there are some of them that are very centralizing, and like you say, the powers that be, they wouldn't want to let go of what power it would give them if they keep hold of it. And I think they will try everything to keep hold of it. I think Raoul calls it behavioral economics on steroids if they launch their CBDCs and get their way.
Yeah.
But I'm actually against a one world currency. I'm actually against anything one world. I think it needs to be completely decentralized. I think that's true autonomy, true freedom, all permissionless, and it all connects on the blockchain together without compromising. We don't need to compromise. Also, but the problem is with our social media and how big tech is running things right now, and you know, the Rockefellers and all this, the banksters, big bad banksters. Here's the thing, like, I'm not going to trash them, but here's the thing, like, they want to control everything because our money, for some reason, is their money. So that's their conclusion. And but I'm completely against centralized blockchain technology. I don't like giving the users the appearance of a good time. You could see this because you could see kind of that route going, because you could pretty much get a whole community to follow anybody, and with hype, not worrying about what the blockchain actually does. So that's kind of scary. Not doing your research, not doing your homework. And that's the reason why we tout, do your own research, do your homework. You know what I mean? And we're hated because of that. I'm not talking about the DigiByte community. I'm talking about anybody that says, hey, I think your facts are kind of skewed there. You might want to do some research. And because they won't, this is the masses. This is a problem.
Yeah, and do you also feel from within the DigiByte community that you're sometimes that are forces against you, that are forces set against you because you have such a decentralized ethos?
Well, I think there's forces against each and every one of us here. Everyone that's watching, you, me, Mike, there's forces that we don't fully comprehend. And you know, some things are out of our control, but while we live in the present of the time, and we need to stand for what we believe is right for the people, not just what I think the people should be rewarded to. I think freedom speaks for itself, right? So there's no reason for me to withhold freedom from you guys, but I get all the freedom, you know, I mean, and all the power. That's nonsense, you know. So I think there's forces at hand that we have to deal with each and every day, just in our personal lives, let alone misuse of, you know, power.
And that's also why I love doing this show with you guys, because I really want to put DigiByte in the spotlight, because there's a lot of amazing projects, but I think DigiByte is one of those core projects that really has a solid ethos, and that, you know, it's a really decentralized project. And sometimes I also got the feeling that within the crypto landscape, or within the broader crypto community, there's sometimes people don't want to use the word decentralized anymore, because they say, oh, it could mean anything. Let's just drop it from the lexicon. Do you also notice that trend?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people, either they don't fully understand what it means. They'll look at, you know, something like Ipfs and say, well, yeah, that too. And I say, oh, it's decentralized. Like, well, how so? They're like, oh, it's on 12 different servers. And you're like, yeah, I don't think that counts. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's frustrating too, because of all the great things about a protocol like DigiByte, as we've spoken about, you know, it should be front and center in everyone's mind. And, you know, is it because there's an agenda to kind of try and suppress it so people don't find out about it? yeah, I don't know. I mean, but it's frustrating when, you know, a coin like Shiba can come along, or token, and you know, it can get like 10,000 likes on a tweet. And what is the purpose of this? It brands itself as the Doge killer. Oh, really? What promise has Doge failed to deliver on that would necessitate something like Shiba to come along? You know, and it's frustrating because, you know, an account like the official DigiByte Twitter account or Jared Tate aren't even verified yet. They've been around for years, and it's a thing. Like, come on, guys. Like,
yeah.
You know, or the exchange situation. You know, here in the United States, ever since we got delisted from Poloniex, I don't think there's a major exchange that offers DigiByte, which I think, you know, it's kind of a badge of honor, I think, because the fact that it can survive and thrive for such a long time without having that immediate exposure, the ease of which people can access it, you know, at least here in the United States. You know, I mean, there are other avenues to get it. You know, Bittrex is where I got my first DigiByte. I've used ChangeAngel a lot, that Script mentioned earlier, and also ScryptSkynet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can never say that word correctly.
ScryptSkynet, yeah.
It was originally called VertBase, and they're great because it's a non-custodial wallet. Which, going back to the importance of decentralization, you know, a lot of people, I don't think they really get it, because you go to like Coinbase, you create an account, or even worse, something like Robinhood, where if you buy Bitcoin or Doge, I don't think you actually can withdraw it, right? It's just on their ledger, not on the actual blockchain, and that's important to people to make that realization and distinction that, well, you know, if you use a service like ChangeAngel or ScryptSkynet that are non-custodial, you provide them your wallet when you make the purchase or the swap, and then you hold those coins in your wallet where you hold the private keys, and then you're the bank, as opposed to these centralized exchanges where, you know, of course, Coinbase is notorious of going down whenever there's volatility in the market, whether up or down. And so, sorry, you know, try again later, or, you know, the exchange gets hacked. You know, it's happened, you know, countless number of times. Or, you know, the exchanges use your funds that you keep on the exchange to trade against you, to use to fulfill short positions or whatever, you know. So, you know, these are things that, you know, a lot of people don't, I think, really consider, especially when they're new, because they just don't know, or it's just they don't realize why it's important. So, you know, but, you know, again, when it comes to marketing of DigiByte, you know, I think because it's open source and decentralized and permissionless, and it's all organic growth, really. It's just people talking about it on YouTube or on Twitter, or just talking to their neighbors. You know, we don't have the big celebrities, you know, to shill us, which is probably a good thing. You know, you see someone like Mark Cuban, who's, you know, obviously a celebrity. You know, he's been, you know, talking a lot about NFTs and crypto lately, and but he's out there, he's pumping Doge, and then just recently there's this thing called Titan, which just took this enormous dump yesterday. It was like $60 to zero within 5 minutes or something. I don't know. It's and it's terrible because, you know, someone like Mark Cuban, he's going to be okay. But, you know, they're just your typical over-the-counter, you know, just your retail investor who's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get into crypto. Mark Cuban says to buy this. And then a day later, you've lost everything. Well, you're going to feel terrible about crypto for a long time, maybe forever. And it's unfortunate that that happens. And a part of me thinks that maybe that's part of their agenda, to lure people in into these projects, which, you know, maybe they don't have use cases, they're centralized, it's a rug pull, or it's just a pump and dump. And then people walk away saying, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm going to stick with Bank of America. My Wells Fargo, they've never done this to me. So I'm going to stick with the legacy system. So it's a grind. It's tough, but, you know, it's got to be done, and we got to do it.
I'm glad you guys do it, and I'm glad I can do my best to give you some time in the spotlight, even if it's a small spotlight. But I think also your focus on cybersecurity is maybe not, you know, something that you know, big companies are really happy about. I mean, usually they want something with a back door in it, right? And not something that is watertight and yeah, something that you're actually the owner of your own asset, like in real time, and not just in name only. So yeah, the final thing I wanted to ask you too is, what is your favorite thing about DigiByte? What excites you the most? And maybe also highlight something about stuff that's coming down the road.
Well, I think for me, I'm most excited about DigiAssets because of what it can do. It can just create a moment for a user, which is really unlike anything else, and can make the technology kind of stand out in a way that really resonates with people at an emotional, individual level. You know, when it comes to just the money side, yeah, everyone wants to make money, but at the end of the day, it's numbers on a screen. Whether it's your Bitcoin or your DigiByte or your dollars or your euros, when you can create a piece of content that can speak to someone at that level, that can really just evoke an emotion. You know, it can be an NFT of a personal nature. Maybe it's, you made an NFT of your kids being born, and it's got their photos, and it's got you know, the birth certificate, all this data, whatever you put into it, and that's something, again, you know, if you mint it correctly, it'll last forever. So, you know, when they're walking down the aisle, getting married to start their own family, you can look at it and really just feel alive in ways that a lot of things don't affect you. So that's what excites me the most about you know, DigiByte, DigiAssets, and NFTs, and that side of the technology.
And you?
Yeah, you know, what makes me excited, you know, when I first started watching myself cryptocurrency, DigiByte, you had a whole group of people before us, and so we're on the shoulders of giants, right? They came through the development side, explained it. It's, you know, 40 times faster than Bitcoin, 10 times faster than Litecoin, or was it 20? I don't even know. But anyway, real-time difficulty adjustments. And so you saw this progression from Bitcoin, you know, the UTXO models, and you have this DigiByte glorification of a UTXO model, BAS, BAAS. And then you have the differences from that to DApp protocols and DeFi and all that. So, you know, coming from that viewpoint, I'm really excited to see who's going to be coming after us. I mean, we basically are carrying the torch for the next generation. Could I imagine me being here talking about DigiByte? Like, you know, 5 years ago, I didn't even know anything about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or blockchain technology, and yet it's really been exciting to be a part of this movement for DigiByte and being able to get to know the people that I have got to know. And it would be a really sad day when that day is gone, but I'm really excited to see the faces and the people that literally take this torch and make it better and present it better than what we have.
Yeah, freedom for the future. Yeah, totally agree. And yeah, I want to thank both of you for your time. I also want to thank our friend Linkero for bringing us together. Wouldn't have been possible without him. So yeah, and I would love to do this again with you guys if you want to yeah, meet up in the future and do another session and speak about all things DigiByte.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, thanks so much for having us, and yeah, thanks to the guys behind the scenes who help put everyone in touch and get this coordinated. And yeah, we'd love to come back anytime and talk more DigiByte. And thanks for having us.
Let's do it again soon. I wish you both a really good day, and I'll just go to the crowd and reward them for their patience.
With some DigiByte.
Right. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right, see you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So people, that was a really great interview. I had ScryptSkynet and Mike, DigiByte Sokol on the show. talking about all things DigiByte. We'll do this again, most definitely, because I really enjoyed it, and I love DigiByte. It's a really solid project. It's been one of my very long-term holds, and I'll keep holding them till way past 2035. But I'll keep accumulating until that time. And I suggest you do the same. And you can win $20 worth of DigiByte here on the show with me. All you have to do is go to Twitter, make a tweet, tag me, CryptoND1, tag ScryptSkynet, and tag DigiByte Circle, and then tell us what you really liked about the show, what stuck with you, what you learned, what excited you about the show, and then we'll pick one winner who wins $20 of DigiByte. So it's that simple. Just go to Twitter, tell us what you liked about the interview, and tag all three of us, and then you might win $20 worth of DigiByte. And those DigiBytes are not only very valuable probably in the future, that's my prediction. I don't do financial advice, but that's what I feel. But they're also, you know, a ticket to freedom. So keep holding them tight and start supporting the really good projects out there because they need your support. Also check their open source because they're looking for volunteers for developing useful dApps or other products. So check out their website and get involved. So I only say two things: watch, learn, and earn. And makes you wonder, there goes.